Bougainville, an island in Papua New Guinea which has been fighting for independence since the 2020s and probably has been seen on every single forum and news article saying that they're the 198th country coming to the world. Today, we're going to find out what's actually going on in Bougainville. Today, I would just like to elaborate, we are not going to be talking about Bougainville, which is one of the many islands in the autonomous region of Bougainville. There are many islands that make up the autonomous region, with some being like the Green Islands and many small atolls as well. The potential 15th oceanic country, Bougainville lies in the geographical region separating the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea. Despite being part of Papua New Guinea, it is actually closer to oceanic neighbors Solomon Islands than Papua New Guinea. The current capital is Buka, which replaced the former capital Arawa, which was the biggest city in the country before it was destroyed in the Bougainville Civil War. Just like how Papua New Guinea has over 800 different languages, there's a huge cloud over what the national language really is in Bougainville. However, most constitutional literature is translated into an English-based Creole called Tok Pisin. Just before we get into the history of Bougainville, we seriously need to talk about the flag here because it is absolutely beautiful. The central piece is a yupe, the traditional headdress of Bougainvilleans. The black disc represents the distinctive skin of the people, whilst the 24 equilateral triangles symbolize the importance of land to the Bougainville people, with the cobalt blue background representing the ocean that surrounds them. Bougainville since 1886 has been occupied by 4 different countries, which include Germany, Australia, Japan, and Papua New Guinea. Let's try to speed run through this. In 1886, the newly thriving German Empire annexed islands alongside Bougainville and named the new area German New Guinea and gave it this flag, which is a beast of a flag in my opinion. Then during the first big bad war that the world had, aka World War I, Australia occupied the island of Bougainville between 1914 and 1918 and eventually was placed under Australian administration in 1920. During the second big bad war, because we decided that one world war wasn't enough, Japan invaded the island of Bougainville in 1942 with the intention of setting up a base to attack Allied land. 3 years later in 1945, Japan surrendered and the land was returned back to Australia. So that's it. No more conflict happened on the island and everyone lived happily ever after. Until 30 years later, on the 9th of September 1975, Papua New Guinea became independent from Australia, with its independence allowing Bougainville just 2 days later to declare themselves as the Republic of the North Solomons. 13 years later, conflict in the mining industry resulted in a decade-long war between 1988 and 1998, 15,000 people being killed, with most of them being citizens of Bougainville. In 2001, a peace agreement was signed by the 2 parties with a referendum of independence being promised sometime in the future. Bougainville's economy heavily relies on one precious material, copper. Bougainville has one of the largest copper deposits in the world, which has been severely underdeveloped in the last few decades. The Panguna mine is estimated to have 1 billion tons of copper ore within its mines. However, in 1989, Panguna was closed due to rising tensions between Bougainville and Papua New Guinea, and due to the fact that Bougainvillean miners were given just 1.25% of the total profits, whilst the Papua New Guinean government pocketed 20%. The Panguna mine still brings lots of negatives to the country, with serious health issues arising due to large amounts of heavy metals like copper, iron, and zinc being deposited in rivers, which can cause respiratory problems and skin problems to the 12 to 14,000 people living by it. In an attempt to strengthen their chances of independence, they still want to reopen the Panguna mine. However, it will cost $5 to $6 billion. As promised in the Bougainville Peace Agreement in 2001, President at the time John Mommis confirmed that Bougainville would hold a non-binding independence referendum in 2019. Between November and December, Bougainvillians were able to vote whether Bougainville should get greater autonomy or independence. Bougainville had a 98% vote for independence. Everyone get your Yupas out. We've got an independence.
Actually, they're still not independent though.
Oh. However, this comes down to a few reasons. 1. The type of referendum Bougainville carried out was a non-binding referendum. This means that the Papua New Guinean government have the final say in the matter, despite the overwhelming favor to be independent. A year later, Ismail Toro Ama, who was a former rebel leader by the way, was elected in 2020, with negotiations to become independent beginning the year after. Toro Ama wished for the country to be independent by 2025, with Papua New Guinea basically responding by basically telling them to hold their horses. On the 7th of July 2021, it was announced that Bougainville should become independent by 2027, with the decision still pending by the Papua New Guinean government. It also pended in 2022 and in 2023.
and in 2024. Wait, is this still pending? That's right. As of June of 2025, the Papua New Guinean government still has not agreed to the proposal, with the most recent development showing that they are still deciding. One major factor coming into the mix is that Papua New Guinea's fears that the independence of Bougainville will give other provinces the urge to fight for independence harder, with one example being New Ireland, who desires greater autonomy. However, even if Bougainville was to become independent, would it really be for the best? Aside from the fact that Papua New Guinea has not ratified the agreement for independence by 2027 for Bougainville, there are lots of internal issues in Bougainville that makes me really think independence would help them out. Firstly, Bougainville has been building its foundational institutions since 2005, with the tax system, a key system needed in a country, still in its early stages and lacks full capacity. Furthermore, the judicial system is almost non-existent in the country, with them heavily reliant on Papua New Guinea's judicial system. With a study completed by the National Research Institute in Port Moresby in 2004, which stated that 40% of households in the capital Buka have been the victim of multiple crimes. To add insult to injury, Bougainville currently has that's right, one fully functioning hospital on the island, located in Buka for the 300,000 Bougainvillians. To put that into perspective, how poorly built the healthcare industry is in Bougainville, Tonga has 4 hospitals on its land and is 12 times smaller than Bougainville. This has caused many problems, as in 2018, the infant mortality rate in the country was 38 per 1,000, making it have the highest infant mortality rate in all of Oceania. To put that in perspective, more babies die per year in Bougainville than in Nauru, Australia, New Zealand, and Tonga combined. There are many other problems also going on in Bougainville, with only just 10% of the country having access to electricity and a limited number of people employed in the formal sector. As of 2000, around 70 to 75% of the population works in the agricultural sector. With 2027 just around the corner from this release, we really should be asking ourselves, is Bougainville really the right country to fulfill the 198th country? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, I would appreciate it if you subscribed and gave that a like. Summer has begun, and by the end of it, I would love it if I reached 1,000 subscribers. It would mean the absolute world for me. But until next time, take care.